when I think of this, like the major or the most prevalent mental health challenges that I see around, it would probably be depression or anxiety. And that's kind of what I focused on. I want people to understand that those are labels that people wear, but there's some things that we can do to change that a little bit. One of the things that I see is making sure that someone understands their value. Those things come from a lack of confidence, purpose, belonging. All those types of things are things that we want to look at to instill in them. And so what I mean by that is, how can I instill value in this person? That's because when you're depressed or you're having anxiety about something, you don't feel very valued, you don't feel very purposeful, and you really don't have confidence. You are withdrawn, you don't want to reach out. So it takes someone to come alongside you and maybe start pointing out some things. And it makes me think about some experiences that I've had. I used to work in an orphanage in Mexico for several years. And it was nothing like I expected it to be. I had pictured going to an orphanage being a very sad place filled with children that were just maybe crying or just really withdrawn. But what I saw was lots of life and lots of laughter and lots of smiles. And I was baffled at that when I first came, and I watched, and what they had done is they had taken these situations where kids probably came very depressed and very withdrawn and didn't feel like they had much value. They were really traumatized by what had happened. And they began to give them purpose, and they began to give them ways to serve. And so I would see small children dispensing groceries to the poor that came by, or if you did well in school, you would be allowed to serve breakfast to another orphanage. Wow. And these different types of things. And I saw such confidence coming out of these kids. Another place that I saw was when I worked with the homeless, and many people suffering from a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. But you saw a lot of depression and anxiety there. Mm-hmm. And people that were never asked to come along or never were given a chance to belong to something. And when I saw different volunteers interacting and saying, hey, can you help me with this? They lit up and they were like, no one ever asks me to help. And it begins to build people's confidence. I think that things like going for a walk, all these physical things help. You can include people in your yard work, but I'm trying to think of other physical things that is proven to relieve anxiety and depression. But I think if people would just start thinking about how can you include someone, that's a big effort towards helping restore someone's health mentally. I know for myself, I went through a very difficult time at one time in my life. I was very depressed. And again, I had a friend that would just come alongside and said, okay, today we're getting out and we're going to go do this. And I would rather have just stayed in bed and not participated. And they were like, no, we're going to do this. And they were nice about it and everything. But once I got out, I was like, okay, this isn't so bad. Maybe maybe I'm going to be okay. And it's just that someone to fall back on a little bit and to support you. But I also want to just talk a little bit about the ultimate way to mental health, which to me would be have a right view of God. And what I mean by that is a lot of people are suffering from shame because they don't have a right view of God, or they don't have a right view of themselves. And so I would challenge people to, whatever way you can find, to display that to that person. to challenge them to who does God say he is? What does he say about himself? Not who does someone told you God is? Go to God as your source for who he says he is and for who he says you are, because they can be very different than the thoughts that run through our heads. And as image bearers, we're all image bearers, and that's an important thing for all of us to do, to have good mental health, is to have a right view of who does God say I am and who does he say about himself.
Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content of this video, please like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you want to learn more, just click the links below, and have a great week. Thanks.